Hello YouTube, Ronan Kazi, Baldur's Gate 3. Yesterday when I was reading through my comments, someone requested Baldur's Gate 3. I appreciate you requesting it, so here you go. So I've skipped some of the things I got. That's Roxy yelling at a motorcycle, and Caesar is on lockdown because he's in trouble. What does Caesar get in trouble for? Caesar is like the middle of the dogs. He's the youngest, and he wants to do whatever he wants when he wants to do it. So he'll start pawing me, and he has claws, and it hurts. So he gets in trouble. So I've skipped over some things. I was in a rest area, rested up fully, and got lost. Couldn't get out of it. It took a while. So I didn't document that for YouTube. So I'm still, I'd say, in the beginner's area. There's that Druid place. I got out of there. I screwed that all up. One of the great things about this game is that if you screw something up, you can go back to a save before then and take care of it. And that's a long-range squirting. I don't like redoing that unless I really screw up. So I'm going to make some mistakes with my characters I go through. Like I probably lock myself out of some different things. And that's okay because that's a game. I don't necessarily want to get everything right. That's not my point in a lot of this stuff. The point in a lot of this stuff is I'm just doing it to play the game. And who cares if I don't do it perfect? We talked a long time ago about completists, people that have to complete everything if you got black on your map. We came across this person. These two are nut jobs and their buddy's dying. And I think I make a mistake here. But we talked before about people that have to complete maps. If the map's black, they can't leave the area till all the map is completely discovered. Or maybe they can't leave the area without any side quests. That's part of the replayability for me. I will seldom do side quests unless I need it to level up. And Caesar, what do you want me to do? I filled that squirt thing up. It goes like crazy when it has a ton of water in it. Anyways, YouTube. Have you ever had people freak out? Acting out is a phrase that you hear when people go to kind of act out. Back in the day when I was in the military, if we went out drinking or something, or we're going to party, maybe this was in high school even, people would get so drunk that they'd start crying and tell you, I love you. Right. For men, it's hard to always express your feelings, especially to another man, especially when I grew up, which was, let's say, in the early 80s. And it just, right, it's just, we weren't as understanding as we are now. Maybe we're still not. Who knows? I don't know. I don't go out and party like that anymore, so I don't have to worry about it. But one thing's for sure, we'd have people that would act out. So you always had a person, if you had a short guy in your group, he was going to nut up. He was going to pick a fight, and then you all had to. I was in between. I wasn't shortest. I wasn't tallest. I was just kind of. In high school, there are some things that I was an informal leader. I just wanted to fit in, and I just wanted to get along. I wasn't trying to save the world. I didn't know anything like I was going to become. At that point, I wasn't trying to get in the military. I was just, like every kid, I was just trying to figure out who I was and what I was and all that stuff. So there'd be young guys that act out. There was always a big guy in our group, and then people would pick on him until he eventually went nuts. I'll tell you a horrible story. YouTube, strap yourself in. So one night, there was a group of us. Scott, Robbie, Jimmy, and I. I was kind of the last to come to that group. Those guys had all gone to school together. I ended up going to school out in Oxford, Michigan, my sophomore year. Before then, I had lived in Detroit. My parents got divorced. I lived with my mom when I was like 13 or 14 or 14 or 15, whatever it is. I moved out with my dad. I was born late in the year, so my birthday kind of forced me. I was always the oldest one in my class. I either would have been the youngest or the oldest. So I just had a bad choice right there with that guy. Oh, here it comes. This is a poor choice. Now you're going to see I fail some of these checks. And I've been failing checks all day on this. So I'm like, something. And I'm like, wisdom check. That's me. They're not going to get me on a wisdom check, YouTube. That's what monks are all about. It's like, there's something in there, YouTube. Ronan Kazi, I'm going to ask you to like, subscribe, share, unsubscribe, resubscribe, resubscribe. Here's my check. Survey says at 12 I got wisdom. Ooh. Sorry, YouTube. That's a fail. And now I got to do disgusting things. Like, subscribe, share. When the comments work, please comment. Trying to get to 500. Once I get to 500, I'm going to do some laptop demo reviews. Started trying to play on my old computer. When I tried to play on my old laptop, which was fantastic until I got this new laptop, it's slower and everything. Ports aren't great, so we'll talk about that later. So, the four of us are pretty good friends. One of our friends started having a girlfriend. I don't know why we didn't like her for some stupid reason that high school boys don't like her. I don't know. So Scott was going out with his girlfriend that night, and the three of us were just driving around. When you live out in the country, YouTube, I don't know if I've ever witnessed, but I've heard that some people might hit mailboxes with baseball bats. That was never me. Number one, while I played baseball at one point in my life, I was about, I don't really want to say that. I usually, nothing sounds good in today's date. But anyways, I don't know. Anyway, something happened to that person's mailbox. While it was happening, we didn't know it, because also when you live out in the country, and in the 1980s, the drinking age, I think in 1983 was 18. And. So there's a lot of things. Nothing good was happening that night. You don't need the exact details, YouTube. Won't help the story. Uptick of the story. So here's an owl beast. This is a formidable foe in Baldur's Gate. In World of Warcraft's kind of a joke. Well, I'm going to try to do my check. Yep. Let me wisdom check again. And that's a poor roll, YouTube. An 8 when I need a 15. And so I was going to howl at him. So, come on. He looks at me like, yeah, you're stupid. So now I'm going to roar at him. And I'm like, yeah, I can get this one. What kind of roll is that, YouTube? And now you're going to see what the thumbnail is. That's me in the thumbnail. So we're witness to something, or something happened. Then he happened to see us doing it. He started chasing us. We didn't know it was him. He ended up crashing. It's not funny, YouTube. And then we all met up at Taco Bell, and he was pissed off at us, rightly so. I don't know why we acted out. I don't know why he acted out. And there's more and more of that when I was around different people. I'm sure there's times I usually act out if I'm sober, right? So I don't mind throwing down or acting a fool or whatever. But I'm not a big drunk guy, so I wasn't ever a big drinker, but I would go out with people. Later in my life, when I was working at a place, I was maybe the VP of something. I was a designated driver. People would just come up to me and start saying all kinds of crazy crap. And I was like, why are you saying crazy crap to me? Like really crazy crap. So we ended up fighting this. One of the people in that little group, I don't know if we could convert her or get her in the group, but she locked him down. I'd like to get her on lockdown, but I think I screwed up that whole exchange with her. She's probably the first magic person that I liked, but maybe I'll run into her again. So people acting a fool. And I kind of, like when I was in college, I had settled down. So I went to college. It was like in the early 80s. And I went to college about 200, 300 miles away from where I grew up. So I didn't know anybody. I was a new kid again. So when I went to high school, I was a new kid, like sophomore year on. College, I was a new kid. And I would see just a lot of people just had a lot of problems. We all had problems. Okay. That's a poor choice of word, YouTube. I'm sorry. When you're younger, when you're 18 to 25, you're just figuring it out. So it's not that you have problems, but you're going through a part where you're like, my parents said this, but this is really how the world is. Why did they say that? I love them, but they're really wrong. So you're reconciling all that, especially for a young man thinking about his father. I didn't have a father to rebel against, so I didn't really have those kind of problems. But other people did, and other people would act out. And in high school, the acting out would be someone would get drunk and then they'd hit someone's windshield and smash the windshield, and the windshield would go crumple. Or they'd hit trees. You might have heard of people like that. They get in bad relationships, they hit trees, they do whatever. Just all those things. So what do you do when people do that? Well, depending on what age you are, like there's sometimes you're a certain age, you don't want to do nothing. You don't want to do nothing. You want to do nothing. You just don't want anyone to hurt themselves or get in a situation where they're driving, where they're under the influence of something. So those things you want to protect them from themselves. But really, you're not going to help it by saying, oh, it's going to get better or blah, blah, because you don't know what each person's going through. And that's hindsight now. I think in the last video, I told you how old I was. But that's hindsight from back up here. When you get in between your 20s and 30s, that's probably when you're trying to establish who you are. You have a good idea what you want to be. So you might act out in those points because you think it's so important to set the rest of your life that you like say, I gotta take a stand. No, YouTube, you don't have to take a stand. Again, everything is superfluous. 30s and through 40s, you might be starting a family. Again, you have these ideas in your head, how you have to be as a father or mother, but you don't have to be like that. It seems like you either take what your parents do and redo that, or you do the opposite. There's no conscious looking at it. Here's the things that my parents did that were good. Here's the things that my parents did bad. Sometimes you can't do that thing. If your parents are divorced, you have no real framework, right? So you're just learning as you go. And probably when you get in your 50s where I still make a dump truckload of mistakes. I just am more consciously doing it. I'm not acting out because I can't control my emotions. I'm just acting out because that's just, I say things a certain way. So I'm going by experience. Doesn't make me right. So here's what I don't want to do. I hated it when old people would tell me they know it. You've experienced more, you've seen more, but you don't know what's inside my head. I don't know what's inside your head, YouTube. Why am I talking to you about this stuff? Because I want you to consider it. There's times I acted in my life where I had no one to talk to about it. And therefore, I made mistakes. And maybe I didn't have the right people to talk to. And so I made mistakes. Maybe I was too proud to ask for help. That for men or real alpha types, it's hard for them to ask for help. I admit when I'm wrong, but I didn't come to admitting I'm wrong right away. I came to that over being wrong a lot of times, YouTube, a lot of times. And I still make a lot of mistakes. So I'm telling you all this because you don't always want to be the one acting out. I recently saw, it's pretty funny. I'm not a big heavy metal fan. It's okay, but I couldn't tell you this, that, or anything. I mean, my friends liked it, so I listen or know the bands they like. So there is a short about a young woman that was screaming like it was a heavy metal thing. And a drummer was playing to it, and I just flipped past it immediately. Like, heavy metal, I'm not doing it, YouTube. Not that I like really weird shit. I like gangster rap. I like all kinds of stuff. Just that's not my cup of tea. It came back on, a couple swipes later, maybe next day. And I kind of looked at it. And what I realized, someone had videotaped this woman acting a Karen, a young Karen. I was like, wow. And then I didn't send it to anyone because, whatever. Then a drummer and a bass player did it. And it was a great song. And she's a great singer. I don't think she meant it. She was hungry. And all that she wanted was wings. And she called someone a squid instead of cussing her out. So YouTube, don't act out. That's the video I want you to go see. She calls her friend a squid in the back. And there goes light. I said it for 15 minutes. It didn't quite last enough. There we go. We have light, camera, action, YouTube. That's your assignment for tonight. Go find that short where the lady screamed about she wants wings she didn't get to eat all day. Thank you, YouTube. Ronan Kazi signing off. Talk to you soon. Bye.
They pursued them notionally. Perhaps they were trying to free you. A vain notion. I am one of many and will not be a burden to my queen.